I think the Auburn Tigers and Hugh Freeze going into year 2 is an absolute powder keg. Because you look at what they did a season ago. Went 6-7. The New Mexico State game makes you feel a little bit funny. You play Georgia close. Great. Nobody gets credit for being close. You play Alabama close. 4th and 31. You really should have won that football game. Again, woulda, shoulda, coulda. It is what it is. But when you look at the future for Auburn, I think it's extremely, extremely bright. Make sure you're subscribed right here. College football, nothing but college football. Auburn fans, had a lot of y'all join the party recently. We're glad to have you. All right, this is your home for college football year round. Not just when they're playing games, not just when we got signing day going on, like college football all of the time. We got you covered. So subscribe here. Also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Pickell to stay all the way engaged in all of our content. So I say all that to say they went 6-7. Okay, not great. It's year 1. It is what it is. Like I said, there's a couple of things to write home about there that were good, that were bad. But even with a mediocre record, lock down a top 10 class. Lock down a top 10 class with a 6-7 record. How does that happen? Well, 1, Hugh Freeze is a dog on the recruiting trail. 2, he and his staff are aligned in what they want to do on the recruiting trail. 3, they got resources on the recruiting trail to make it all happen. But the big thing I want to say here is they are able to sell the vision. There's a sales pitch here very clearly from Hugh Freeze. Hey, this is where this thing is going. If you want to be a part of it, sign on. Let's get rolling. And obviously, the sales pitch has worked to the point of them having a top 10 class in 2024. But here's the thing about sales pitches. They're great on the front end. They can be charismatic. You can have cool props, PowerPoints, whatever you want to do. But at some point in time, you got to deliver on the product. So I think 2024, in a lot of ways, has a chance and probably should be the product for Auburn to go and bring in that top talent yet again. Because if you want to win at a high level in college football, yes, you got to use the portal well. We've already established that. But the real bread and butter is when you stack classes at the high school level, year in and year out. You stacked one class, but if you start winning at a consistent level, you stack more classes, and then we're off and running. So 2024, I think, is all about creating something to buy into, something palpable. We're not going 7-5. We're not going 6-7 again. Like, it is something that we can really sink our teeth into, look at on tape, and say that's a different Auburn team than they were the year before. I think year 2 is a look where we're going kind of year. Look where we are from where we were the season before, and then look where we're headed. Because the sales pitch, part of it is probably still somehow baked in. That's just the way the recruiting works. But I'm very, very bullish on Auburn. I've been openly bullish since we got the chance to go down there and talk to Coach Freeze, talk to Will Redmond, be able to watch practice. Like, that thing has very real direction. There feels like a very real way of doing things that is direct and solidified and is, in my opinion, looks like it's ahead of a year 2 team. Their quarterback, Peyton Thorne, it is Peyton Thorne, by the way, is getting his feet underneath him, in my opinion. He didn't have that last year. How many times you've heard me say that on this show, I don't know, but 15 practices, especially in spring ball, makes a world of difference. He didn't get that last year. He got it this year. But the thing I want us to talk about here, and I talked about this on Crane & Co. last week during the Elite Series, whatever you think about Peyton Thorne, you're entitled to your opinion, but they played Georgia and Bama to one score. You've heard me say that many times. In both those games, Peyton Thorne didn't play that great throwing the football. He had less than 100 passing yards in both those games. And again, 2 of the best teams in college football, Auburn took to the wire. So my question then becomes, if you don't think Peyton Thorne is going to be all SEC, that's fine. But how good does he have to be for Auburn to win football games at a high level? Because from what I'm seeing, if he goes for over 200 yards in both those games, I think they probably win. If he plays turnover clean, they probably win. So the quarterback, I understand if you're not buying in 110%, I think you're well within your right to do that. But I don't know that he has to be like in the Heisman Trophy finalist race for them to win at a high level. Also, the weapons around him, we've said this many times. Rivaldo Fairweather, I love him. I don't love him if he's my leading receiver. You got Cam Coleman. Everybody's eyes work. You saw that spring game. He's going to be a dude for you. Probably a all-SEC freshman kind of player. Keandre Lambert-Smith, more of a veteran presence coming over from Penn State, explosive receiving threat, so you improve there. You have, I think, an improved defensive structure with DJ Durkin running the show. Defense wasn't bad last year at Auburn, but I think the structure will be improved with him as your DC. And then internally, going back to the offense, there is a lot of confidence in the direction they have with their scheme. Last year, for whatever reason, Hugh Freeze, Philip Montgomery, it wasn't a fit. Didn't work. Didn't work. When I look at Hugh Freeze, though, what do we know about him? Like, there's a couple of coaches, well, most coaches, there is a label we put on them in terms of what they're known for. Mario Cristobal, he's known for recruiting, right? Kirby Smart, same thing, known for recruiting, known for defensive football. Hugh Freeze, recruiting, yes, he's known for scoring points offensively and working with quarterbacks. That is his bread and butter. That is how he has cut his teeth in college football. And so for me, with him now taking over the offense more or less this upcoming season, whether it be formal or informal, I think it is a matter of time before a Hugh Freeze football team scores points. Why? Because that's always what has happened when he's the head coach. When he's calling plays, they are scoring points. Also, and this is something Andy Staples also mentioned on his show, so another reason to go subscribe and make sure you're tuned into the great work he's doing over there. They have a radio headset now from the play caller to the quarterback. And there were times at Liberty where Hugh Freeze is telling Malik Willis pre-snap where to throw the football without the radio. He's saying, hey, throw it over here, throw it to this guy, or whatever. Now you can tell Peyton Thorne pre-snap, this is where we're going with the ball. Now you don't want to lean on that too heavily, but it definitely doesn't hurt having one of the best play callers in college football be at the joysticks for you and helping your quarterback with more than 15 seconds left to go on the play clock. So again, internally, talking to some folks over there, there is a feeling of the offense and their ability to take another step this upcoming season with Hugh Freeze running the show. They have 4 tough road games, in my opinion. They're at Georgia, at Missouri, at Kentucky, and at Alabama. FanDuel has them at over/under 7.5 wins. Okay, so to do that, I think those are some pretty pivotal games, clearly, but I think the swing games to me are probably going to be Arkansas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma is going to be massive. Arkansas is going to be massive as well early in the year to kind of set that tempo, because if Auburn goes into Georgia undefeated, that means, 1, they're probably scoring points. 2, there's some real confidence and swagger internally. There's some belief in what they're doing out there at Auburn. There already is, but they take it to the field. If they're doing that, I think the momentum from their quick start could help carry over to the rest of their schedule. I'm not giving you a win-loss prediction here, but I don't think getting to 9 wins is unrealistic. I think it's very much so on the table for Auburn. Is there some tough games on there? For sure. I mentioned Georgia. It's going to be difficult. Let's throw their schedule back up there, Nick, really quick. You got A&M at the end of the season. I think that'll be a tough one in some ways just because it's towards the end. You're beat up. It's look ahead against Alabama. At Missouri and at Kentucky could be some swing games of sorts. I mentioned the road tests. Those are definitely part of it. You don't know what you're getting from either of those teams just yet in the preseason. But the path to 9 wins, I believe, is absolutely there. How it looks, who knows, but I think it's there. I think the roster is good enough, and I think that the way of doing things in year 2 is good enough to where they can have a massive improvement from last year to this year. So then what's the whole point of me talking about Auburn's potential win total? Hey, JD, if we got 9 wins, that'd be great. We'd, of course, be fired up about that, but what does it really mean? Well, remember what I just said? 2024 is about creating something to buy into. You win 9 football games. You won 6 last year, had a top 10 class. If you win 9, I don't think it's irresponsible at all to assume that Auburn can and will flirt with a top 5 ranked class come National Signing Day. That's not a prediction, but I'm just saying, with how Hugh Freeze operates and with the power that Auburn has across the board, I mean firepower. I'm talking about the coaching staff and what they do recruiting. I'm talking about the resources. I'm talking about the alignment from the administration to the staff to the resort to the boosters, like all those things. From what we understand, those things are all aligned. And when Auburn is aligned, going back to what I said, they are powerful. They are powerful. The care factor is massive from in terms of, like I just said, what they can push for resource-wise and also what they can reach to. But also the relational aspect for Auburn is a differentiator. And so if they get some momentum and they start recruiting at that top 5 level, start to win more. And when you win, you recruit. It's kind of a chicken or the egg scenario we've talked about many times on this show. Winning leads to recruiting, and recruiting leads to winning. So if that happens, Auburn is going to be able to stack classes, and at that point, Auburn is a force for the rest of the college football landscape. The SEC, absolutely, but when we're looking at this 12-team field going forward, I would have a very difficult time if Auburn stacked classes that way. With Hugh Freeze and what they're going to be offensively, I believe, as long as he's there, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. So year 2, under Hugh Freeze, 2024, a massive show-me-something year, a massive let's give the recruits something to buy into for the 2025 class. They're currently number 10 as the time of us being on air in the On3 industry team recruiting rankings. But Auburn, man, they're a powder keg under Hugh Freeze, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.